What if I told you that we could build an entire full-stack web app with user authentication, Supabase integration, automated email notifications, and even AI features, all in just a few prompts, without writing a single line of code? Well, in this video, we'll be doing exactly that, using Rocket, which is a new AI app builder that feels like having an entire product team in your browser. But unlike other tutorials that you may have already seen on YouTube, we are not stopping at just a basic app. In this video, we will build a full suite of projects around our web app so that you're ready to launch it as a fully functional startup. In a few prompts, we will build out a landing page, a marketing website, a full analytics dashboard, and even an internal tool for our team. If you've ever had a startup idea but didn't know how to build it, this video will be your fast track from idea to launch, as we will cover the entire process, start to finish, with no stones left unturned. But enough talking, let's get to building. But if you're new here, what exactly is Rocket? Well, Rocket is a brand new AI app builder that allows you to build everything from simple landing pages to complex web apps and even native mobile apps. In this video, we will solely focus on the web side of things. However, if you click the link down below, you'll be able to see one of our previous videos where we do an entire walkthrough for building a mobile app. So make sure to check that out after this video. So when getting started with Rocket, we have a few options. One is to get started with the template. So if you have a common use case, you can choose a template that best suits and start with it. This way you will save tokens and you will save time building. The second option is to upload a Figma project that we will leave for another video in the future. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. But last but not least is to build with a natural language prompt, which is exactly what we will do. And as the prompt will be the foundation of our app, we want to make sure that we get it right. So when getting started with prompting, I really recommend checking out Rocket's documentation, for which we will leave a link in the description down below. Here you'll be able to go over how it's best to structure your prompt to make sure that Rocket understands what you're trying to build. However, to summarize it, we want to keep our prompts specific, simple, and descriptive. What I've done is I've taken all of this documentation, I uploaded to ChatGPT, then I spoke to ChatGPT about my app idea, and I got a ready prompt out of it that we can use in Rocket. For this video, my idea was to build a services marketplace. Our marketplace needs to have functionality for users to sign up as either providers or as seekers. And if they sign up as providers, they should be able to list their services, which seekers will then be able to find and book appointments with that service. I want our platform to also have automated notifications so that the providers are able to get emails whenever somebody books their service. Then I wanted to have payment integration so that users can actually pay for the services on our platform. And I also wanted to have some AI functionality. We will touch on that a little bit later. So for our build, we will actually start with a landing page. In most cases, before you build out your full web app, you actually want to validate your product and build an MVP. In our case, we will build a simple landing page that we can use to send to potential users to see whether there is demand for our product in the first place. I'm going to copy the prompt that ChatGPT gave me. Then in the Rocket menu, I'm going to click on landing page, enter the prompt, and then click on the blue arrow to get started. Rocket will take a few seconds to understand my request. Here it understood that we're trying to build a landing page, and it will begin planning our build. Now, because we're building a landing page, which is just one page, it will give us one screen to choose from. You'll see in the future, once we're building the web app, it will actually give us a lot more options. But in this case, because we're just building a landing page, we only proceed with one screen. Rocket will now begin building our landing page. This will take a few minutes as Rocket will really try its best to make sure that we get as close to the finished product with just our one prompt. During the build, you'll be able to see the progress here in the chat. However, you'll also hear a notification sound once it's finished so that you know that it's ready. Once the generation is complete, you'll see the green tick here, meaning that it's been complete. It will take a few seconds for Rocket to generate a preview, and once the preview is ready, we'll be able to see our landing page. Now, starting off, I'm not a big fan of the image that Rocket used, so we are going to change that. I generated this video in Midjourney to use as our background instead. I then uploaded it to cloud hosting so that I can embed it on my website. Here I'm just gonna copy the code, and back in Rocket I'm gonna paste that link and prompt Rocket to use that link as an embedded video for the hero section's background. In a few minutes it's updated and now our video is embedded in the hero section. But now let's take a look at the rest of the landing page. We've got some nice sections here explaining what our app is. We have a sign up form, as well as testimonials. As you can see, the layout is quite nice. It's already optimized with conversions in mind. Now, if we want to start modifying things, we can click on this little mouse icon in the top right. Then we can click on any of the elements on our screen and edit them on the left side. For our use case, I'm going to change the color of this text here because it wasn't very visible before. Now, when we edit things this way, we don't actually use any tokens. Make sure you actually use this feature for any kind of visual edits. Otherwise, if you prompt Rocket with all the small changes, the token cost can add up quite fast. And this way of editing is even a lot faster. What you can also do is actually click on the different elements and then prompt within Rocket to change something within that element. So if you want to edit something beyond just color, fonts, or layouts, you can do it this way as well, and it will be way more accurate. Now, I'm not a big fan of the testimonials that we have on our landing page, so I actually want to embed a custom one. So I found this nice one on Senja. I'm going to copy the code for it. Then I'm going to paste the code in the prompt window on Rocket and tell it to implement this Senja to show testimonials. In just a few minutes, it was implemented and we can scroll down to see it in action. Here it is. It looks amazing. Now I also want to embed a form. So I'm going to go to Tally and copy this code for a form that I created. Then I'm going to prompt Rocket to implement this Tally form, as well as removing the existing one on the website already. Now in just a few minutes, that was implemented as well, and we can test it out. I'm just going to put a random name here, a random email, choose service provider, and then choose yes. Click submit, and our form has been submitted. Now going back to Tally and going to submissions, we can actually see that it came through. So our widget is working perfectly. Now I think our landing page needs one more thing, which is a Google Analytics integration. Obviously, we want to see how many users actually go through our page and how many of them sign up through the form. I'm going to copy the link to our landing page, go to Google Analytics, click on web, paste our URL, enter a site name, and then click create and continue. Then I'm going to copy the code for the tag and prompt Rocket to integrate it on our landing page. It has now been integrated. I went back to Google Analytics and made sure that it works by clicking the test button. Small error there. Let's actually publish our app with the updated Google tag and then try again. I'm going to press test again. Okay, and now it's been successful. Let's now go to home, and as you could see, we've got 2 active users, meaning that it is tracking our visits to the page. And if you go to our page again and scroll through and then go to Google Analytics, it is now turned to 3. Everything is working perfectly. So as you saw, in just one prompt, we built out an entire landing page and we were able to implement all of these different widgets that actually give it the functionality that we want. But now that our landing page is ready, let's actually build the web app. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video already, I want to build a 2-sided marketplace. And to quickly recap on the features that we wanted to have. We wanted to have user authentication so that the users can sign up as either provider or seeker. We want the providers to be able to list services. We want the seekers to be able to book the services for specific dates, as well as chat to the providers to clarify any details. We want to have payment processing so that the users can actually pay on the platform itself, making it simple for them to make the booking and to actually receive the services. We will want to set up automated email notifications and of course include some AI functionality to make the lives of our users easier. Without further ado, let's get building. So in Rocket, I'm gonna click on web app, I'm gonna paste my prompt and click on the blue arrow. Rocket will take a few seconds to analyze our prompt. It will now see that we want to build a web app and it's going to offer us a default framework. Now, if we wanted to, we could click on customize framework and actually choose a different framework that works for us. However, in our case, I'm happy with React, JavaScript, and Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to click on use default framework. Rocket will now start planning our app with that framework in mind. After a few seconds, it came up with the screens that we might need. I'm going to choose all of them because I think they will all be useful to our users. Now, a quick note, for everything that we built in Rocket, it will be using tokens from our account. So the more pages or screens that we generate, the more tokens will be used. You just want to be mindful of that in case there are any pages or screens that you don't want to generate or you might want to generate later on. On the free plan, Rocket gives you 1 million tokens, which is more than enough to build an MVP, a landing page, a website, or a very basic app. So I've selected 9 pages and Rocket will now begin building them. As Rocket is building them, we'll be able to monitor the progress here, with each one of the pages receiving a green tick on the left side when it's been built. Rocket tries its best to get as close to the finished product as possible in each build, so it will take you 10 to 25 minutes until all of these pages are built. However, you do not need to sit around and wait for it to be finished. You can just close the window, do some other work, come back and have it all ready for you. It will also notify you with the sound so that you know that it's been completed. Okay, and our app is now ready. So let's take a look. I like the way it's looking so far. We've got a basic page here just explaining what it is. And on top, we have the sign up and the sign in buttons. Let's try signing in with the Seeker account. That works. As you can see, we have different services here listed already. The mock data, we've got filters on the top, we've got a search bar. We also have my bookings tab where we can see the services that we've booked. They are filtered by upcoming, completed and cancelled. We've got a messages tab where we can actually talk to the providers. Then we have a profile tab with our personal information, payment methods, business info, notifications, privacy and account. Let's sign out and sign in with another account. I signed in as provider, and as you can see, we're now in service management. So rather than seeing services to book, we actually see our services that we have listed. Then we have an earnings page, transaction history, payment settings, performance, tax documents, as well as messages with the seekers. And of course, also a profile page. Let's sign out and log in as admin. I just logged in as admin, and here we actually have an overview of our entire platform, the data there, user management, service moderation, so that we can actually make sure that the services that are posted are high quality. We can see the history of all transactions, reports, alerts, and quick actions. So, okay, our app is up and running. However, right now it's just using mock data. Let's actually implement Supabase functionality so that the users can sign up and sign in for real. I'm gonna give it a prompt here to use Supabase authentication to authenticate users and also allow login/sign up with Google. Rocket will take a few seconds to understand a request. Then it will ask us to create a Supabase project. So I'm gonna click on create new Supabase project. I'm gonna give it a name, give it a password, and then click create. Now, just to make sure, I also prompted Rocket to make sure that it clarifies whether the user is a seeker or provider when they sign up with Google. Okay, Rocket completed that, so now let's push the code to Supabase. Now I'm actually gonna go to my Supabase project and then go to authentication. We've got 2 sample users in there, but now let's go to sign in providers. Then I'm gonna go to email and I'm actually gonna tick off the confirmation email. This way we can actually test our app without having to confirm emails every time. If you do this, make sure you re-enable it before you publish your app. But now let's set up Google authentication for our app so that our users can sign up and sign in using their Google credentials. This will make it much easier for them to get started with using our app. Now, Google is not the only option that you can use. There are many other options available in Supabase, but we'll only sign up Google for our example, as that's one of the most common options that users would want to use. In the auth providers, I'm actually going to scroll down and click on Google. Here I'm going to click enable sign in with Google. Then I'm going to go to my Google Cloud account, click on my organization. Then I'm going to click new project, give this project a name, choose my organization, and then click continue. Then I'm going to go to my project, go to APIs and services, go to Google Authentication Platform, click get started, give it an app name, choose my email, then click on external, click continue, then enter email again, then click continue, agree and press finish. Then I'm going to go to clients, click on create client, choose web application for application type, give it a name, Supabase authentication, copy the callback URL from Supabase, paste it at the bottom of authorized redirect URLs, and as well as authorized JavaScript origins, and then click create. Now let's copy the client ID. Go to client IDs, enter it there, then copy client secret and paste that as well. Then press save. Okay, and as we can see, Google authentication is now enabled. Now the Google authentication will only work in a published app. It will not work in the Rocket preview. So to test it out, let's publish our app. By the way, when you click this publish button on the top, your app will actually be published to the internet and you can share it with other users already. Also, a quick note, Rocket actually publishes to your own Netlify account. So you actually don't need to have an active Rocket subscription to have your app, your website, your landing page running after you've built it out. You can set up your Netlify integration in the account settings before you even build the project. And once you click publish in your app, you'll actually be able to see your project in your own Netlify account. So it's all yours. But before we test it out, let's go back to Supabase, go to URL configuration and paste our published app URL right in there so that all of the redirects work fine. Then let's go to our app and test out the Google login. I'm gonna try signing up with my Google account. Okay, and it worked just fine. Let's choose service provider, click continue. If you remember, we prompted Rocket to make sure that it includes that. Okay, our sign up is done. And now let's try signing in with Google. I'm gonna click here and I've signed in with my Google account just fine. Amazing. So we know that Google authentication works. Let's just try signing up regularly. I'm gonna enter name here, enter an email address, I choose a password. I'm gonna sign up as a seeker, press agree, and then click create account. So, okay, the user authentication works. Let's now make sure all other functionality works as well. I'll start with the profile page. As you can see, it's still using mock data. So I'm gonna prompt it to make sure that it uses actual user data from Supabase. Okay, it told us we need to push some updated code to Supabase. So I'm gonna press push to Supabase. And if you go to our profile, it's now all empty because all the mock data is gone. So let's fill it out and then click save. Okay, our data got saved. However, in the services page, it's still using mock data as well. So I'm gonna prompt Rocket to remove that. Okay, that was completed and we've got no services here now because obviously we didn't create any. Let's sign out. I just filled in some information to sign up as a provider. I'm gonna click create account. Okay, and it's still using mock data in my services page as well. So let's remove that. So here I just prompted Rocket once again to remove the mock data and use Supabase data instead. That's now been completed and it's generating a preview. Okay, I'm back in the services tab. As you could see, mock data is gone. So let's create a new service. I'm gonna fill it out here, vibe coder. I give it a description, choose a category, click next, set a pricing, duration, an example add-on service, additional price, description, and then click next. Okay, and now we're on the media section. We haven't yet set up anything in Supabase to handle that, so let's fix it. So to be able to handle user file uploads, we'll need to set up a Supabase bucket. Think of it as a cloud storage for all of your user files. This way, whenever users upload their files through our app, they will be stored in our Supabase bucket. In our case, we'll be able to use these images in our service thumbnails. You can go to Supabase, click on storage, then click new bucket, enter a name for the bucket in there, and then click create. So to set that up, I just prompted Rocket to store the images that we upload in the Supabase bucket and make sure to use that bucket when displaying the images for the services on our services page. Okay, that finished. I also noticed there was a nav bar at the bottom, so I'm just gonna take a screenshot, send that to Rocket, and tell it to remove that nav bar at the bottom. Now, a quick tip, this is actually an easy way to be precise with your prompts. You can screenshot whatever you want changed in Rocket, send it back to Rocket, and tell it to change something within that section. This ensures that you only change what you really want to change. You can actually do the same for errors, so anytime you get an error, you can take a screenshot, send it to Rocket so that it understands the context of what it needs to fix. It's literally like working with a real employee. Like if you have a developer and you had an issue, you take a screenshot, send it to them and tell them like, hey, can you fix this part? Same thing with Rocket. You can treat it as your own personal developer. Okay, and now that we've actually implemented the bucket functionality, let's try creating a service again. So I'm just gonna fill in some mock data here, click next. Now we're in the media tab again. Here I'm just gonna upload an image. Oh, and it gives me an error. So as I mentioned previously, I'm going to take a screenshot, send that to Rocket and tell it to fix that issue. Okay, so I just filled out all the info again. Let's try uploading an image this time. I uploaded an image. Okay, we got a success. Amazing. Let's click on next. I'm going to fill out availability here, then click next. Then we have a preview here. All good. Let's save it. Okay, and as you can see, our service is now displayed here. You can click on preview to see the service as well as the calendar with our availability. And we can click on edit if we need to change any information. Let's log out and let's actually try booking it. I just logged in as a seeker and I can see that service that we listed. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on a date. We've got a confirmation message here and we can actually now see it in our bookings. Now logged in as provider, I'm going to click on message in our bookings and send the message. And as you could see, we received that message and we can message back. Let's try messaging again. Okay, that message is also received. And this way, as you could see, the users can actually chat with each other to make sure that they're a good fit before they confirm the booking. Now let's go to bookings and press accept. Okay, we can see the preview here. We can also change the welcome message, but I'm just going to click on accept request. And as our booking has now been booked, I'm going to click on deactivate so that other people can book it as well, so we don't get any double bookings. However, I just noticed that we can reactivate it. There's no option. There's only another option to deactivate. So I'm going to take a screenshot, send it to Rocket, and tell it to add an option to reactivate our service. Okay, let's now test it out. As you could see, we can actually activate it again. Amazing. But now let's start setting up the integrations. Let's first set up ReSend integration, which we actually can use to automate all kinds of notification emails for our users. We can add email notifications for providers so that whenever somebody makes a booking, we get a notification. We can also set up notifications for the seekers so that they get notified every time maybe they get a message or the booking has been confirmed. It's really up to you. You can set up whatever is needed for your app. But for our example, I'll just set up the notification for providers when a booking request has been sent. To do that, I'm just gonna prompt Rocket saying, let's use ReSend to send emails to providers once the seeker books their service. Rocket will now ask for my ReSend API key. I'm gonna go to ReSend, click on create API key, give it a name, copy the key, and then paste it in Rocket. We'll need to push new code to Supabase, so let's press push. And okay, that's been integrated, so let's test it out. So I just created a new service. I'm gonna publish it. Here it is. Then as a seeker, I'm gonna try booking it. I'm gonna choose a date, click send request. We got an error here, so let's press fix. A quick note here regarding the fix button. If you're on a paid plan, the fix button is actually free. It does not use any tokens. So if you get any error within your app, it's actually free to fix it. The error has been fixed. After that fix, let's try booking again. We've made the booking and I just went to my email, and as you can see, we've got a notification here with all of the details about the booking. Now that ReSend integration is working, let's set up our AI functionality. Now you don't need to create some crazy AI functionality for every app that you build. Not every single app needs it. However, because most apps nowadays do use AI, it is important to keep it in mind. For our use case, I just want to use AI to make the lives of our users easier. If you've ever tried creating a service, it's actually quite painful, especially if you're not very tech savvy. Like, it's very difficult to come up with the name, description, and things like that. So I think that will be a perfect example of where we should integrate AI. We'll add an AI functionality to make it easier for providers to create their listings. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to prompt Rocket to implement a button to generate service descriptions using OpenAI. Then I'm going to go to ChatGPT, create a new secret key, then copy the key and enter it here in Rocket where it's requesting my API key. We got an error during our integration, so let's press fix it. So for service title, I'm just going to enter plumber and then click generative AI. And as you could see, it filled out the description with a lot of details about our service. However, I think it's a little bit too much info. So I'm just going to tell Rocket to make sure that these generations are short. Let's test it out again. I'm just going to write plumber for the service title and then click on the AI button. And as you could see, this time it was nice and short. So I'm just going to quickly fill out the rest of the details and then I'm going to publish our service. Let's actually edit the plumber and change it to plumbing service. Okay, that's been updated and it's all working well. By the way, we also have this different view here, so we can actually view services in the list format rather than grids. Quite nice. So we've got user authentication working. Users can now sign up, create services, and have AI help them create those services. Users are also able to chat with the providers and they're able to book these services. However, the one thing that we're missing is payment integration. People can book services, but they cannot yet pay. So for that, let's integrate Stripe. To integrate Stripe, I just prompted Rocket telling it to create a payment pending status once the service is accepted, to make sure that this status appears for both the seeker and the provider, and to use Stripe API to process the payments itself. And also to make sure that it doesn't forget it, I also told it to also update the status to successful once the payment has gone through. Okay, it's now going to ask for our Stripe secret key and our Stripe publishable key. I'm going to go to my Stripe account and then I just entered both here and then click continue. Here on the left, you'll see that Rocket automatically generated edge functions for us. But what are edge functions? Well, edge functions allow us to run backend logic, like sending emails or calling an API. And Rocket handles them automatically. You don't even have to think about them or do any setup. Rocket sets them up all for you so that you can have whatever functionality that you need within your app. In our case here, Rocket generated the necessary edge functions for our Stripe integration to work within our app. app. Okay, let's now press push to Supabase, and after a few minutes, it's completed successfully. So I'm gonna publish our app and test it out. Okay, so I signed in. I went to the service, I'm gonna click on the date and then send a booking request. As you could see here, it's awaiting response. As a provider, I can see that pending request. Just gonna say thank you for choosing our service and then click accept. As you can see, it now says payment pending. And when logging in as the seeker, it also says payment pending. So let's click on pay now, and that takes us to the checkout. I'm gonna enter mock Stripe data here to test it out, then click pay, and that's been successful. As you can see, the status is now changed to confirmed. And when going to our Stripe dashboard, our transaction went through. We could see it in the top here. So now our app is fully functional. The users are able to book and even make payments. By the way, if you click on the project settings in the top here and you go to integrations, you can change any of the integrations that you need over here. You can also add other integrations like Google Analytics, AdSense, Perplexity, etc. Quick note regarding integrations. In the integration page, if you change any of the API keys, your integrations will work just fine. However, if you add any new integrations or you change your Supabase project, you will need to prompt Rocket to make that integration work. But now that everything works, we can publish the final version of our app. I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. So to make it as easy as possible for the users to learn about our app before signing up, let's actually build a marketing website. On this website, I want to have all of the features listed as well as different use cases and testimonials. So I'm going to click on website in Rocket, and then I'm going to enter my prompt and then send it through. Rocket will now detect that we're building a website, then come up with the pages that it thinks we need. I'm going to choose all of them and then click build my website. And that's it, our website is now built. As you can see, it has a beautiful interface with all of the features mentioned on there. We can click on Explore Services to actually see what's listed on the web app. We've got a Become a Provider page, we've got a Success Stories page, we've got an About page, as well as a support page. Now, if we go back to Rocket, we can actually click in the top right here to see how it performs on different devices. As you can see, our website is even mobile optimized. So I've gone to my Google Tag Manager account, copied the code from there as well, and then told Rocket to implement it. Because obviously, once again, we want to make sure that we're tracking all of our analytics. While that's being implemented, let me quickly show you the code page. For all of the code that Rocket generates, you can click on code at the top of the page and then actually see all of the different files and all of the code that Rocket generates for our app. Now let's also add the other bit of the Google tag. So I prompted Rocket to add the following code to the body tag. And if we go to our index.html file, we can actually see that tag right there. Now I also want to integrate my HubSpot form. So I went to my form, copied the code for that, gone back to Rocket and told it to implement my HubSpot form with the code provided. And now when we go to the homepage of our app, we can see that HubSpot form right there. I just filled it in with mock data and then click submit. And then back in our HubSpot account, we can actually see that new submission. So all is working well. Now, as our app grows and gets more users, it will be good to have a dashboard with all of the data so that we can see how our startup is doing. This could also be useful in the future so that we can show any data to potential investors. For this, we can actually create different dashboards. We can create separate dashboard for admin, a separate dashboard for customer support, and a separate dashboard just for investors. It's really up to you. I'm gonna click on dashboard on the top, enter my prompt and send it through. Then we'll proceed to the default framework, choose the 4 screens and wait for it to generate. Okay, it's now been generated, so let's check it out. Let's try signing in. That works. We've got an overview page, we've got a users page with all of the users data. We've got a services page, looks pretty cool, nice graph. We've got an operations page, looks great, exactly what I wanted. But now I'm gonna prompt it to integrate the Supabase and actually use Supabase data for this dashboard. And now Rocket will ask us to link to our Supabase project. So here, instead of creating a new project, I'm gonna click on the drop-down menu and select the project that we created for our web app. And that's it, that is now connected. As you can see in the overview now, we can see that we've got 1 active user, so it's definitely using the Supabase. However, when we go to the other pages, as you can see, Supabase is not been integrated yet. So I'm gonna prompt it to add data to the user tab from Supabase. Then I'm gonna tell it to make sure that the data works on the services page. So let's quickly go over the dashboard again. We've got the overview page with all of the most necessary data. We've got the users tab with all of the analytics of our users, as well as user roles, age groups, engagement insights. Then we've got a services tab with all of the data on the different services, all of our categories, top providers. So if you wanted to, you could go further and actually create custom dashboard for specific users, but we're not going to do that as we actually got one more thing that we need to build. So one common issue with all services marketplace is actually the disputes. And I think one thing that could set a platform apart is having really good customer support to make sure that these disputes get settled quickly. And to keep track of all these disputes, I think it will be really useful to have a custom internal tool for the customer support team so that they can manage all these disputes in one place and not have anything go missing. So in Rocket, I'm going to choose internal tool, enter the prompt, send it through, choose the 11 screens that it had offered to me, and wait for it to generate. And that's it. There's just one prompt. We have an internal tool that's ready for us to use. As you can see, we have a dashboard here with all of the cases. We've got a timeline tracker, party information, so we could actually manage all of the providers here, as well as the seekers. We've got a resolution center where we can keep track of all of the cases and what's been happening to them, as well as the different refund types and even resolution templates, so that our team actually has templates that they can use to resolve the disputes even faster. We've got an escalation console, internal notes for our team, the different filters. We've got user management, so our team can actually manage all of the users from one place. Then we have system configuration, where we can set up different rules, analytics and reports, where we can keep track of our team's performance. Also, by the way, you can actually quickly navigate between different pages by clicking on the top here and just selecting between different pages. And if you click on full screen, we can actually preview our dashboard in full screen. I think it looks great. So with just one prompt, we've got this amazing internal tool that our team could use to solve any disputes. And if you go to project settings and integrations, we can add anything else here that we might need. Here we'll probably want to set up the Supabase project, maybe a ReSend for notifications, so specific team members can get notified on specific issues. We could even set up any of these AI tools for generating quick responses to the users. But I'm quite happy with how this turned out with just one prompt. And there you have it, an entire suite of projects in just a few prompts without writing a single line of code. If you want to get started building the Rocket, whether it's a landing page, a website, a web app, or even a mobile app, click the link in the description and you can get started with a free plan. And make sure you click subscribe so that you don't miss any of the new exciting features that we'll be adding to Rocket, as well as any future tutorials. And I'll see you all in the next video.